She didn't slam the door. She didn't scream, or cry, or plead. She just looked at me, flat, emotionless, grabbed her keys, and walked out. And I let her. My hand was still hovering near the doorframe. I could have stopped her. Could have said, wait. Could have said anything. Instead, I whispered it, barely audible but sharp enough to pierce both of us. The moment you step out, this marriage is over. Don't come back. I wanted her to freeze, to hesitate, to turn around with tears and apologies and some pathetic excuse that would make it okay to forgive her. But she didn't. The hall light caught her silhouette as she disappeared down the steps. Her perfume, something new and unfamiliar, lingered in the air like mockery. I stood there for 5 full minutes. Do you know how long 5 minutes is when you've just thrown a grenade into your own life? My phone buzzed once. Not from her. Not even close. It was an Uber notification. The ride she scheduled 30 minutes earlier had arrived, which meant she'd made her decision long before I made mine. She planned it. Not the argument. We never even fought. Not the exit. She was too calm for that. No, what she planned was to make it look like I was the one who ended things. Let me rewind. Not all the way back, just to this morning. I found a receipt. One of those long, overly detailed credit card slips she usually tosses before she gets home. Dinner for 2. Downtown. Fancy place. Time stamped 11:47 p.m. She told me she was at her sister's, watching bad rom-coms and venting. She forgot one thing. Her sister called me at 10:12 asking if I'd seen her. Said she hadn't heard from her in days. I spent the whole day pretending everything was normal. Made her coffee. Folded laundry. Smiled when she walked past me like I wasn't unraveling inside. She kissed my cheek and asked if we were out of eggs. Eggs. Like I hadn't just spent the night checking phone records and cross-referencing GPS pings from our family account. Like I hadn't just discovered she was parking in the same spot near an apartment building 3 nights a week. It wasn't until she got dressed for drinks with coworkers that I finally said it. And now here I am, still standing by the door, still shaking, still hoping the doorknob turns one last time. But it won't, because that silence, that's the sound of someone who never planned on coming back. I didn't sleep. I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the spot where her purse had been. You know how absurd that is? We spent 9 years in this house, built it together, decorated it, fought over curtains, and I was staring at a freaking empty purse imprint like it held answers. I couldn't stop thinking about her Uber. Not just that she booked it ahead of time, but that she timed everything so perfectly. It felt choreographed, engineered, and I kept asking myself, who does that unless they already decided where they're going? And to whom? Around 3 a.m., I stood up, walked to her side of the office, and noticed she hadn't fully closed her laptop. The screen was dark, but not shut. Her email was open. Not her work email, the one she claimed to check only at the office, but a personal account I didn't recognize. I hesitated. I swear I did. I even closed the lid halfway. But then I remembered the look she gave me before leaving. That blank stare. That silence. So I opened it. What I saw wasn't just betrayal. It was strategy. There were folders named with initials. Archived threads labeled backup, Wednesday plans, Vegas options. Who labels emails about cheating like a project manager. One thread stood out. It had no subject line. Just 3 messages. The first from her, he suspects. Might have to accelerate. The second was a reply. Okay. My place is ready. My stomach turned. My ears rang. And the third? A video file. Sent 2 nights ago. I didn't open it. Not yet. I knew that once I did, there'd be no crawling back from whatever I saw. No illusions left to shatter. Just a raw, ugly truth I'd have to carry. Instead, I clicked on the sender's name. The contact photo was of a skyline, blurry and distant. The name was just an alias, J///9th. But the IP address on the email metadata? It matched one of the GPS pings from last week. The apartment. She wasn't just visiting him. She was living another life there. And I was the fool tucking her in with forehead kisses while she played double. I closed the laptop slowly, like if I moved too fast, the whole illusion might snap back together. But it didn't. It was gone. All of it. Whatever fantasy I'd been clinging to, that maybe she was just lost, or confused, or even tempted, that was dead now. Replaced by something colder. Something planned. She didn't fall out of love. She reassigned herself. and I was just the final item on her to-do list. End it cleanly. No drama. Make him pull the trigger. Well, congratulations, Delaney. You got what you wanted. And now, I'm about to open the video. I waited another hour before opening it. I don't know why. Maybe I was still hoping for some weird, innocent explanation. Maybe I wanted to feel like I had a choice in how much pain I'd let in. But in the end, I clicked. And what I saw wasn't what I expected. It wasn't some grainy hotel room footage or sexting nonsense. It was a recording of her. Just her. Sitting on a couch I didn't recognize, wearing the same hoodie she always claimed was just for sleeping. She looked comfortable. Too comfortable. Like this was her real home, and everything I'd been part of was just the backup plan. She started talking to the camera in a voice I hadn't heard in years. Soft. Happy. The kind of voice she used to save for me. Hey, she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I wanted to do this now before I lose my nerve. She glanced down, then back up. So, it's almost done. He doesn't know yet, but tonight's the night. He's been dragging things out, asking questions, starting to connect dots. But I think if I push just a little, he'll finally snap. I couldn't breathe. She kept going. I know it sounds cold, but I need this to be his decision. I don't want to be the one who ends it. I want him to say it out loud. That way, I don't feel like the villain. She laughed quietly. Even if I am. I paused it. I actually got up and walked away, because for a second, I thought I might throw up. My own wife. No, my ex-wife in the making, was rehearsing my emotional collapse like it was a performance. Like she was a character in some low-budget play, and I was the set piece she needed to rearrange before the next act. But I went back. Of course I did. Because I needed to know what else she said. And here's the part that tore something in me. She leaned closer to the camera and whispered, I gave him everything I had for the first few years. I really did. But then I realized he's not broken enough to appreciate me. He's too soft. Too forgiving. It's like arguing with a wet paper towel. No passion. Just whimpering. She rolled her eyes. I know that sounds mean. But I need fire. Not a doormat with good intentions. And that's when it hit me. She never wanted me. She wanted someone who'd fight her. Someone who'd scream and throw things and chase her down the driveway. But I didn't. I locked the door. I let her go. And that was the fire. Just not the kind she understood. I closed the video. I couldn't finish it. I didn't need to. Because I finally understood, I wasn't part of her story. I was her excuse. But she made one mistake. She thought breaking me would make her feel free. What she doesn't know is that I recorded the video. Backed it up. Stored it. And now, I'm not planning to fight her. I'm planning to end this quietly, legally, and in a way she'll never see coming. I didn't sleep again. Second night in a row. Not that I expected to. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her lips moving in that video, shaping words that were never meant for me. But I kept hearing them anyway. Not broken enough. A doormat with good intentions. Whimpering. She said it like I was an obstacle. Like I'd somehow ruined her ability to feel alive. I opened the video one last time, but not to watch it. I copied it. 3 backups. One in the cloud, one on a hard drive I stored at my office, and one on a flash drive I dropped off at my brother's place without saying a word. I didn't trust myself not to go soft again. And I knew that if I ever needed leverage, real leverage, I had it now. Her face, her voice, her plan, all spelled out in her own words. But something still didn't sit right. She kept mentioning him. Bryce. J. N. Ninth. Whatever the hell he called himself. I'd never seen a photo. Never caught his number. Not even a first name in her contacts. Just weird initials and coded reminders. That felt off. Too cautious, even for someone cheating. She was hiding him. From me? Sure. But I started wondering, was she also hiding him from everyone else? So I went deeper. I remembered a license plate. Just a partial. I'd seen it once, weeks ago, when she asked me to pick up takeout near the gym and her car was already parked 2 blocks away, despite her saying she was stuck in traffic. I wrote it down at the time because something felt off. I still had the receipt in my glove box. So I started searching. I called in a favor from a guy I knew who worked with city parking enforcement. Asked him if he could pull surveillance photos from the corner where I saw that car last. I told him it was about someone tailing my wife. Which, in a messed up way, was true. What he sent me made my stomach drop. The car was registered to someone named Nolan R. Bishop. I didn't recognize the name, but when I reverse image searched a photo from a grainy parking camera, I froze. Nolan Bishop wasn't just some coworker or friend with benefits. He was married. Publicly. Legally. And not even discreetly. And guess what? His wife had a wellness blog. Public Instagram. Daily posts. One of her reels showed their 10th anniversary dinner. Candlelight. Champagne. Nolan in a tailored suit, and Delaney in the background of the restaurant. Laughing. With a wine glass. Same red dress she wore the night she told me she was at home with cramps. So it wasn't just me she lied to. She was the other woman, and didn't even seem to care. I kept digging. More photos. More videos. Nolan and his wife hosted a garden party 2 weeks ago. Delaney's car was parked on the same street. I checked traffic cams. Confirmed it. She had walked out of our house that morning, wearing jeans and a hoodie, and showed up hours later 2 towns over, disguised as a guest at a party she had no business being at. And now I understood why she needed me to be the villain. Why she needed me to say the marriage was over. Because if I left her, she could be grieving. She could be Nolan's damaged little secret. She thought I was weak. She thought I'd crawl away. But now I had proof. And I knew something she didn't. Nolan's wife followed me back on Instagram last summer. She liked my dumb vacation photos. She even commented once, "You two are adorable." Well, not anymore. I didn't rush it. That was the hardest part. Every instinct in me wanted to scream, to post the video, to forward it to Nolan's wife with a message like, "Hey, thought you should know your husband's been busy." But no, I waited. I wanted it to hit like a slow explosion, one she wouldn't be able to contain or control. So instead, I followed her. Not in person. I'm not that reckless. I followed her digitally. Every move, every story post, every check-in she forgot to hide. She was careful, but not enough. She'd created a fake email for Nolan, sure, hidden his name, never once mentioned him directly. But she didn't realize her phone had been syncing to our shared cloud for years. She'd never turned it off. Probably forgot it even existed. So every photo she took, every file, every message backed up to an old Google Drive folder with my name on it. And buried in that folder was gold. A picture from Nolan's backyard, cropped just right. Wine glass. Her legs on a lounger. Caption, "Finally free." I almost laughed. She posted it to her close friend's story on Instagram, but I saw the original, unedited version in the drive. And in the reflection of her sunglasses, a man, balding, mid-40s, wearing a wedding band. I took that image, cropped it back, highlighted the ring, and attached it to a message. It was simple, cold, just 10 words. "You don't know me, but I know your husband." I sent it to Nolan's wife at 10:34 a.m. From a new account. No name, no details, just the photo. I expected silence, or confusion, or rage pointed at me. But what I got was terrifyingly calm. She replied 3 hours later. "I thought so. Thank you. I'll take it from here." That's it. I stared at that reply for 10 straight minutes. No threats. No questions. Just a response like someone who'd already made peace with what came next. I didn't know whether to be relieved or horrified. That night, Delaney came home. Yes, home. Like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't left with a lie on her lips and a man in her calendar. She waltzed in, humming, set her bag down, kicked off her shoes, looked at me sitting on the couch, and said, "Hey, did you eat?" I looked at her like I was staring at a ghost. She walked into the kitchen, poured herself a glass of water, and said, like she'd rehearsed it, "I know things have been weird lately. I think we should talk." I didn't move. I just said, "You might want to check your phone." That's when I saw it. Her face. The moment everything cracked. She opened her messages and froze. Her thumb hovered over the screen, then started trembling. She clicked something, probably Nolan's thread. Probably a message from his wife. And then she whispered, "What did you do?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't have to. Whatever Nolan's wife said, it had already begun. And Delaney realized, in real time, that the walls were closing in. She didn't cry. Not yet. But her knees buckled. And for once, she looked like the one without a plan. I thought the message would break her. I thought watching Nolan's life fall apart would be the final act. I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd crack and admit everything in some sad, cathartic breakdown. But instead, she got cold. Not panicked. Not ashamed. Cold. After she read whatever Nolan's wife sent her, she didn't collapse like she did in the movies. She stood in silence for a few seconds, then grabbed her glass of water and walked upstairs. No words. No tears. Just this eerie stillness. like she was already rewriting the story in her head to make me the monster. I sat there in the living room, numb. I didn't follow her. I didn't ask questions. I didn't care if she packed or showered or vanished into a wall. I just wanted to feel something besides this hollow ache in my chest. But something kept clawing at me. The feeling that this wasn't over, not because she hadn't left yet, but because the math didn't add up. The timeline, the secrecy, the care she took to hide Nolan. Too much for a simple affair. Something didn't feel right. Nolan had seemed like the big secret, the one she built her escape plan around. But if that were true, why was she still so calm? I needed to know what else she was hiding. So I went back into that Google Drive. The synced files. Most of them were photos, PDFs, dumb selfies, screenshots of gift ideas, saved Instagram reels, normal stuff. But there was one folder that didn't match anything else. Tucked deep in an old directory labeled Wedding. Inside that was a subfolder. Password protected. I didn't even know you could do that in Drive. I stared at it for 10 minutes. Tried our anniversary. Nope. Tried her birthday. No. Then, on a whim, I typed Nolan. It opened. And that's when I realized Nolan wasn't the first. There were chats, DMs, voice notes. She'd saved them. Not just with him. With two other men, different names, different timelines, different cities. There was one labeled Maverick // Denver, and another T//TXNF. I clicked on the Denver one first. It was from 2 years ago. 2 whole years. Messages that made me sick. Voice memos where she talked about playing house with me while recharging from her real life. Screenshots of flight confirmations. Photos from hotel rooms with angles that looked disturbingly like the ones we used to take together on vacation. Same poses. Same fake smiles. Different man. I opened the TX one next. That one was more recent, just before Nolan. Same pattern. Only that guy? Married too. She'd saved a voice note from his wife. Crying. Pleading. And Delaney had labeled it, meltdown face with tears of joy. I swear I couldn't breathe for a second. She wasn't just cheating. She wasn't even chasing love. She was collecting lives to break. And I was just one more notch in a pattern she'd never planned to stop. I closed the laptop and sat on the floor. And that's where she found me. Knees pulled to my chest, staring at the wall like I was watching my own funeral. She walked in, calm as ever, and asked, "What now?" That was the first time I didn't feel powerless. Because now, I knew. And next, she was going to feel what it was like to lose control. She thought I'd freeze. She always counted on that. Her strength was built on my hesitation, my second-guessing, my constant need to fix what she kept breaking. But that night, sitting on the floor surrounded by the truth, the messages, the photos, the wreckage, I stopped being afraid of what would happen if I left her. And I started thinking about what would happen if I didn't. She sat across from me, legs crossed, staring like she was waiting for me to break the silence. Like she thought I'd cry again. Ask why? Beg her to stop. But I didn't do any of that. I just said, "I hope you enjoyed it." She blinked. Enjoyed what? All of it, I said. Because it's done now. And I'm not asking you to leave. I'm telling you. That was the first time she looked genuinely confused. Not scared. Just off balance. She was used to me chasing her. Apologizing even when she hurt me. She never planned for the version of me that finally stopped caring. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I went to a lawyer. But not just any lawyer. I went to a woman named Teresa Mathers. Someone I met years ago at a client dinner. She was sharp. Scary sharp. And she specialized in high-conflict divorces, particularly ones involving financial fraud and digital evidence. I walked in with a USB drive, a backup hard drive, and a folder of printed screenshots. I laid them out on her desk like a chessboard. Teresa didn't even blink. "You have enough to burn the house down." "I don't want to burn it," I said. "I want to own it." She smiled. From that moment on, I wasn't alone. We moved fast. She helped me freeze the joint accounts, blocked access to the savings, flagged the credit cards. Turns out, Delaney had been funneling money into a private checking account for months, under her maiden name. Teresa spotted the transfers in under 10 minutes. Then we filed for divorce. Fault-based, with supporting evidence of infidelity and intentional emotional harm. The kind of claim that makes judges raise eyebrows and sign off on aggressive financial consequences. But that wasn't all. Teresa suggested something I hadn't even considered, a restraining order on digital grounds. It sounded crazy, But because Delaney had kept private recordings and labeled other women's emotional breakdowns for entertainment, we had a case for malicious psychological conduct. It wasn't about violence. It was about pattern, and we had a very compelling one. The best part? I didn't serve the papers through a courier. I had them delivered during her brunch date with one of her ex-affairs. A place I knew she'd be, because I'd seen the reservation in her synced open table history. Table for two. 11:30 a.m. I sent a friend, quietly, professionally, who walked up, placed the envelope gently on the table, and said her full name loud enough for the entire patio to hear. And then he walked away. That night, she came home in a rage, slamming cabinets, throwing accusations like knives. She screamed, "You had no right." I stayed calm. I just looked at her and said, "I gave you every chance to stop, but you were never planning to." That shut her up. I told her she had 1 week to get her things. I'd already changed the locks on my office, already rerouted the utilities, already met with a realtor. The house was going on the market, and she'd be lucky to see a fraction of the proceeds. She tried to argue, tried to play victim, said things like, "You're destroying everything, and this isn't who you are." But that was the lie she kept telling herself. Because this is who I am now. Not broken, not whimpering, not waiting by the door. This time, I was the one who walked away. It took exactly 12 days. 12 days after the papers were served, after her secrets spilled out like gasoline over everything we built, after her facade crumbled in front of the one person she thought she had wrapped around her finger, she showed up at my new apartment. I didn't even ask how she got the address. I figured she either stalked my mail or begged someone dumb enough to believe she deserved a second chance. Either way, I wasn't surprised when I heard the knock. I was surprised, though, at how calm I was opening the door. She stood there in a hoodie 2 sizes too big, no makeup, red eyes, shaking hands, like the image of guilt itself. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She said, "I just wanted to talk." I leaned on the doorframe and said, "We already did. You just didn't listen." She looked down, then back at me. "You were never supposed to find out like that." And that's when I laughed, not cruelly, just in disbelief. "No? You mean I wasn't supposed to find out at all?" She didn't answer, because the truth was clear. It had never been about remorse. It had been about control, about crafting the right exit, about leaving me broken so she could feel whole. But I didn't break. I rebuilt, and she could see it. She looked past me, at the clean apartment, the open windows, the folded laundry, the flowers in the vase that I bought for myself, not to impress anyone. For once, my space didn't smell like perfume and lies. It smelled like peace. "I miss you," she whispered. "I don't," I said. And I meant it. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't angry. I was done. I'd walked through hell, and instead of dragging her back with me, I dropped the weight, walked out, and never looked back. She asked me if I was seeing someone. I told her no, but not because I was waiting for anyone. I was finally learning what it meant to be alone without being lonely, to be free without needing revenge, to be whole without patching myself together with someone else's love. She asked if we could maybe talk again sometime. I said, "No, Delaney. We had years to talk, and you spent them talking to everyone but me." Then I closed the door. No drama, no yelling, no storming off, just a quiet click. And I stood there behind it, for the last time, smiling. Because that was the moment I realized. I didn't lose a wife. I lost a liar. And I gained a future,